Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy New Year 2021. We are going to be discussing some more Expanse today. A little bit late. Sorry about the delay, but nonetheless, we're going to be discussing Down and Out, the 5th episode of the Expanse Season 5 tonight. I'm really happy to be here with my guest and co-host, Ashaya. What's going on, Ashaya?
Hey there. You say we're late. I prefer to say that we're just, getting everyone hyped for the episode tomorrow. Because we have exactly 24 hours until the new episode as of this stream starting. So I'm very excited for tomorrow and excited to talk about Down and Out.
Yeah, it's cool. Like now that we're doing it on a Monday, I kind of want to see how the vibes feel today. Maybe we'll do another Monday one or something like that. But yeah, it is interesting to see what day of the week we do it on. But another great episode. And geez, I see some belters, and we got a belter in chat. Hopefully, everyone had a happy new year and is doing well so far. But yeah, Shay, we got another great episode. 5 episodes down already. Of course, the first 3 episodes we got all at once. And it is kind of weird getting the Expanse episodes week by week. So now we're kind of getting into this groove of having to wait for another episode.
Did you start before, between season 3 and season 4? Is that accurate?
No, I've been watching since the beginning, but I've been season 3 at your house in the one day. I remember that.
Okay, I was just curious because for 3 seasons we got the Expanse week to week. It was last season that was really abnormal. Yeah, I must point out.
I mean, the last couple of seasons, it's just like the switch.
Season.
Yeah, the switch has made me feel weird. You know what I mean? Because I'm so used to Netflix and just binging shows and stuff like that. But
this is the perfect time for weekly, though, because there's nothing going on.
That's true. I will be watching WandaVision, but I don't think it will have me captured, as I am so captured by the story of the Expanse. Down and Out. Ashaya, consequences this episode. Overall, let's give our kind of overview rating. Oh, I clicked off. I am screwing up already today.
Oh.
I was capturing the wrong thing. But yeah, so overall thoughts of the episode. I thought it was like an 8 out of 10. I gave the last episode a 10 out of 10. I think I gave 11 out of 10, but it was so good the last episode. I'm not saying this one was bad, but we kind of, got to take it down a little notch to ramp it up again. And the Expanse is really good at that, doing the anticipation thing. I think that's where they really excel as a TV show. But we get some interesting point of views in this episode. And overall, what are your thoughts of the episode?
I guess if we're rating it, I agree with you, an 8 out of 10. It doesn't have Avasarala in it, which was abnormal. It took me actually a couple of hours until after the episode to be like, wait, we never saw her. So there was that. But I really enjoyed seeing the fallout and some people's reactions to it. We see in Drummer's faction, we see how the average belter reacts to this throughout, because she has a number of people there. So I think we see kind of a good array.
Yeah, it was really interesting. It was because, we talked about the possibility of maybe getting, a Holden episode, all episode 9, and maybe skipping some POVs in one of the episodes in kind of the last 3 episodes of the season. And this one was interesting because we didn't get Drummer last episode, and we got a lot of her in this episode, so it was nice. And that's kind of the cool thing where we're at now. We're really established in season 5. We have a lot of really good POVs, and it's okay if we miss an episode, because then we have an episode where we're craving to get to know what happened with their point of view. So let's kind of start off with Drummer and talk about her reaction, because in the previous review that we did breakdown that we did to Shay, I talked about how I thought Drummer was going to feel responsibility because she's a belter, and we are seeing all of these different factions trying to have their own sovereignty. And in a way, Miss Drummer is trying to elevate the Belter's status without doing the shit that Marco is doing. And I think that that's a really interesting place to be, especially with the impact that Marco made, especially this season.
Yeah, Drummer's dealing with, obviously, both, how she mentions the loss. She left Marco alive, and then he did this. So she's dealing with that, and then she's also dealing with Fred Johnson being dead. So she's got 2 things there. But one of the things that I want to point out is that when Drummer discovers what happened, her first thought is of Naomi. She says this will be killing Naomi, which shows that they had a really close connection. And I mean, obviously she's going to see Marco. And so whether her and Naomi will interact or see each other is a question that I have.
We'll talk about her agreeing to go meet Marco towards the end there. We got another Kitty appearance. Really interesting that you might mention the Fred Johnson thing, because we have, Fred Johnson was only, he was like, this colonist. He was only really holding space in the belt. And then Drummer was like, listen, Fred Johnson was a good man. He wasn't just a good I knew him as a man, as a great man. Don't you slander him in front of me. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. It shows how much she respected him, even though she broke free from him. And that was true with Dawes as well, that even though she had kind of deep disagreements with them of opinion, but she still had respect for them. I think we got a lot of good insight into the dynamics of her faction here.
Mm-hmm. You actually read my mind. That's what I was going to say next. I was like,
I think we get some good subtle things there. Like in Oksana, she makes the call for them to all gather, and like Drummer says, thank you, Sorry, we have a cat.
We have a kitty appearance, Xerxes. Bloopers chat. The kitty is making an impact on the stream and the keyboard, such as Marco did. No, that's a really good point to share, because that's one thing that I really noticed in this episode, kind of the feelings of how everyone is feeling about the situation that just occurred, because that's a pretty big event, right? Like Marco is stating that this is this is this historical moment for Belters, but Belters are oppressed, right? Like this is... In a way, they feel suppressed in how they can express themselves. So this group that we get with Drummer is really, really unique, because we see them so all open with each other, and we really get a lens into what they really think about life. And that was really interesting for me. And like her looking at the tablet, Marco's calling, and it's like, oh man, she feels really conflicted, right? Because she's like, whoa, what do I do? What do I do about this? And she knows it's going to be some sort of kind of, what does Marco really want? You know what I mean? Is he trying to declare his power over us as well? Because he said he's amassing his own force and his own sovereignty, and they kind of got their own small little group of ships, and they're kind of trying to just survive too. So I found that really interesting note to be pushed in this episode.
Yeah, what do you think Drummer's goal is in meeting with Marco?
Ooh. She seemed really diplomatic about it, right? Like the way she presented herself to everyone, she wanted to be strong and say, because a lot of the Belters weren't like, that was the worst thing that ever happened because they've been treated so badly, but they all felt badly about it. But in some sort of way, there was still resentment in their feelings. So I don't know. I felt that Drummer wasn't showing her hand too much, because she knows how independent everyone is in her group. And I think she was really smart in acting that way. That way, we don't have any of these people betraying her in her group, you know what I mean? Because we know that Belters are working with Marco, and that's a big deal. We saw what happened with Sakai. Wait till all of that starts to unfold. Naomi doesn't even know that yet. That's a thing. So I really, where I think she's going to go with it, I don't think she's going to be friends with him. I'll just say that.
For me here, I don't think she will be either. But what's interesting to me is that, like, we were talking about how we see the other people in her faction, the other people of the Polyam Belter fam, their reactions. And when she says she's going to meet with him, a bunch of them kind of like cradle each other. They seem nervous and disappointed, which was a little surprising to me, actually, because a couple of them seemed like they were maybe a little swayable to Marco's side. Serge says, maybe it's inevitable. Maybe that's the way to a future without Earth's boot on their neck, and that you can't be sad about that, that's really callous. And Berthold also says that it's hard to grieve them. So I feel like those two in particular are people that could betray the others, and maybe that's not betraying, but just them going their own way.
I wonder if Marco ends up capturing more people. Like, because what is he going to do with the proto-molecule? You know what I mean? Like, does he have scientists on his ship that are going to be smart enough to decipher what to do with it? Because that is the biggest thing, right? Like, that is the biggest thing. The protomolecule, biggest threat, right?
Remember, we've got all this stuff with Cortazar.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing too. So I think that will be something that develops too. But I don't know. I don't necessarily think that Drummer will be captured, but it would be interesting if she was, because Naomi is captured, and then they could work as a team to maybe kind of infiltrate their way. But I do have the same kind of vibe as you. Like, I feel like a couple of them are going to be like, once they are presented with this conversation and Marco speaks, he's this charismatic, good-looking guy.
They're going to be like, oh, he's hot.
Oh, he's this charismatic. Oh. But I keep on saying that. But anyways, Keon Alexander's doing a great job as Marco so far. We'll talk about him. But I do think that there will be some more betrayals. It seems like, I don't know. I feel like at the end of the season, there's like going to be an even bigger crisis. I'm not saying that asteroids are not bad, but I feel like there's going to be even more fracturing and more isolation and more division. I kind of feel like that's where it's going, because everybody's separated right now. I think some people will get back together, but I don't know. I just feel like I feel like Drummer is going to get betrayed by a couple people.
Yeah, I have that vibe too. So hearing you say that, yeah, I think we're on the same page. I'm curious if anyone else is a little suspicious or concerned.
I think this is probably the most insight we've got into Belter culture ever since, since the whole airlock situation, probably. And I really like that. I like seeing all of the different cultures and how they respond to situations. So that's something we talked about in the last review, Shea, kind of like how everyone was going to be responding to this big situation, because ultimately humanity, everybody comes from a lineage of Earth, like Earth is home, but everybody doesn't think of Earth as home. So I feel like that is really interesting. And yeah, it was really interesting to see their point of views and how some of them were like, just, I don't blame them. You know what I mean? So, like the way some of them are feeling, like, you know, hundreds of years of oppression. Like I would probably feel that way.
Yeah, they have mixed feelings about it all. I don't think any of them is like super hateful about it. They're all kind of coming to terms with it. And notably, I think we talked about how this was going to cause a lot of Belter bias and prejudice. And they bring it up, their concerns. You know, Joseph, he says that Belters were dancing in the corridors of Saracen Palace. And even though some of them, like, they don't even believe that, but the inners will believe it. So that, I mean, we're already kind of seeing this suspicion between them, which is too bad because they had kind of already started to come together at this point.
I kind of even wondered that, but before as soon as Marco dropped the rock, I mean, like, you know, he had his little celebration at the end of the last episode. I really started to wonder, like, because we had talked about Drummer, and I was like, I really wondered and kind of worried for Drummer, because she's in a position of power, but it's not like a super stable position of power, right? Like, there's no like unified Belter faction. It's a bunch of different factions within the belt. So I yes, it's going to be a really interesting storyline to see. I hope that she's in the next episode, because they said they're going to meet. I'm expecting them to do that. But yeah, I was happy to see all the different reactions, and really thought that she was stoic. Like, the way she presented herself was really smart, because I think she's really plugged in. Like, I don't think she like misses anything. You know what I mean? She doesn't really have too many blind spots.
Yeah. So I think we are ready to move on, aren't we? And we were talking about how all these characters are alone and fractured. And in this next scene, in this plot line, we have two characters who are reunited and kind of off on this journey together, which is Amos and Peaches.
Yeah.
Right here. And I liked how this scene was titled. If you ever look on Amazon X-Ray, which I keep telling people to do, they have scene titles, and this scene is titled "There's a pit on a mud ball down a well."
Yeah, it felt like more like hell though, because of the red lighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of, I was like, Jesus, you know, that's kind of what it felt like, more like hell there in hell, especially with Konachek down there. So this was a really interesting POV issue. We talked about the possibility of, I talked about the possibility of the modified people if they survived, that this would be an unusual situation for Amos. We know Amos to be this like a strong brute type, like this military type, like he could hold his own, like survival is what he knows. And
he's the person you want to be with during this situation.
Yeah, if there was a draft, I'd pick him first. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to war or some shit, Amos. Even though Holden's smarter, you know what I mean? Like I want the strong guy. Give me the masculine strong guy. Anyways, joking aside, this is a really, really interesting POV. We have Peaches, who is hurt. Amos has to sling her arm. We know that she's also been drugged up, so that's a pretty interesting situation. And they're in a prison, so he doesn't really have a lot of Pardon me?
On the 10th floor down.
Doesn't have a lot of leeway, by the way. They're trapped. So, yeah, if you have a phobia of being in small places, then that's not the place for you to be. But Amos is a quick thinker, and I really like he just analyzed the situation. He's like, okay, what do I got to do? Sling her arm. Boom, 5 seconds. You know what I mean? He was like kind of analyzing the situation really quick, and then he got to the guard. Hey, guard, let us out of here now. This place could collapse. I love how fast he was acting about everything.
Yeah, he was like, she almost went away. He's like, no, you cannot do that. That'll mean we are doomed, you know? And then, of course, it wasn't him that came up with the idea. Actually, it was one of the guards to go get Konachek, who was very important, and very funny. And apparently he's in Letterkenny.
It's funny,
another
it's
Canadian show.
Yeah, man. Everybody always comes to me with that. They're like, do you want Schitt's Creek, Letterkenny? Letterkenny's super funny. One of my friends actually works on all the costume design. And
so do you recognize that guy, Boomer Phillips?
No, I haven't watched enough episodes to be. But one thing I thought was super funny is Shay was like, he's like, I got friends in high places. Like Amos is like, he's like whispering in this situation, you know what I mean? I'm like, why is he doing this? You know what I mean? And I found that was really interesting because that, like in the guard's mind, like kind of influenced her future decisions. You know what I mean? Like he's down here like, okay, the Queen of Earth, you know, like, you know, the president of the whole Earth, you know, got him down here.
Yeah, I mean, in two ways. That A means that she could get in trouble, but B means that she could be saved, I think, right there, just through being around him. Yeah, although, as it turns out, she just goes off on her own, and I hope that works out for her. It seems like a dangerous journey she's off on, and I don't know. I'm very concerned for Rona. I have to say, we'll never see her again, but I don't know that I think she would just survive.
The cinematography in this specific POV in this episode was really interesting. The way they shot each scene, kind of the angles, you know what I mean? To make it feel like you were in that space was really cool. I really like that. And then obviously when they get out of Shea, we learn that there's, quite a bit of devastation. If an asteroid, space rock, Kyle, hits Earth, there's obviously gonna be a big deal if it gets through our atmosphere. And just the whole vibe of it was really interesting. The kind of like the fellowship. It felt like a journey through Mordor to get to the to get to the top of the mountain to get out of all that rubble.
Yeah. Yes. For sure.
What were some other things that stuck out to you other than the suplex down into, which I thought was absolutely hilarious?
Some of Konachek's lines, two in particular, obviously so what's new? And his, fuck you, God, you missed again line, only for him to then be killed by Amos a little bit later. And, I'd say that one of the things I really liked was Konachek's, I keep naming things to do with him, was his laughter at the destruction when he gets out there, because I'm pretty sure that would be my immediate reaction too, is like you just get out there and it's just so ludicrous that you just laugh. I don't know.
After being called tiny that many times, I guess you would have to laugh about it because you feel like the big man getting out from all that rubble. It's funny.
Clarissa laughs too.
Yeah.
For a different reason.
It seems like it's not reality. Imagine we think that this kind of thing could never happen. Fingers crossed. It's 2021. After 2020, I think anything is possible. But without being too much of a pessimist, I won't go down that road. I see some interesting comments in chat. Sentient Dildo says, Tiny was hilarious. I regret Tiny being evil and killing he could have developed, says Dave. And History of Westeros, Aziz, I'm glad we can safely call him Tiny because we know he's dead. So we have a bunch of comedians in chat too. So,
okay, I have a thought. I don't know if you took note of this. Clarissa, when they get out, she uses her body mod, but she never actually uses it in the fight. Which I thought she was about to kick some ass and she doesn't. So I'm curious if she wanted to and it didn't work out for her. She needed like a little pick me up. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that exactly. I don't know if we have an answer.
Yeah, that was really weird. I thought it was going to be like a kind of like I'm that guy scene. You know what I mean? Because, you know, like Amos usually takes care of these kind of situations. But he was in big trouble. Like Konachek took a bullet right to the friggin' heart, okay, and he was still walking, and I was like, oh my God, Amos is... I didn't think they were going to kill off Amos, because I think Amos has a lot more story to be told, but in that situation, I was like, holy crap, you know what I mean? That's what modified people are really like in the Expanse universe, so it was a really interesting scene, and I was kind of really thrown off by that, too. I was, like, really expecting her to, like, do some, like, jumping karate kick or some shit, you know?
And I will say, sometimes I've mentioned stuff from the books just because it's not really spoilery, but in the books, Clarissa does do that. So I was extra expecting it. So it just kind of threw me for a loop that they decided to not do it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love that they're bringing out this character because she has a really interesting backstory. She's a Gao. And Gao's kind of the proto-molecule. You know what I mean?
A Mao.
I said Gao. Gao is dead. Okay. I said Maga. Anyways, that's where I am today. First stream of the year, and I'm still getting my. And before the stream, by the way, I was getting chastised by Shea because I kept on calling Alex Cass. She's like, "That's the 5th time you've done this in our 5-minute conversation before the live stream." So.
Yeah, but you're right, though, when you point out that she's a Mao. Just, I think back to season 1 and season 2. I can't imagine thinking that the big character out of the Maos would be the sister. It would just be Clarissa Mao, someone we didn't know about at all. So, I don't know. I like Clarissa a lot. I like her story. I think she got the bad end of the stick with being locked in that prison down there, considering other people have killed the same amount of people like Naomi and Amos, and they're still free.
Right? Like she needs affection as opposed to like therapy, as opposed to like we saw what the relationship with her father having the golden child, as opposed to this kind of ugly, there was like the golden child, ugly duckling vibe. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way their family story is. And and I feel like a lot, you know, we see a similar situation with Amos. He didn't have a traditional family, and that's why he is the way he is too. And that's why the dynamic between Clarissa and Amos is so interesting. And I really interested to see what happens with Clarissa and getting to know her for the rest of the season, because I feel like we don't really know her. We need to get to know her more.
Yeah, I think we know her as who she was when she was just driven by hatred. She was a different person when we met her in season 3. She truly was. She was just so single-minded in that. So yeah, I think we are getting to know a different Clarissa.
And speaking of that type of mindset, look at how Amos is approaching things. Not always thinking, he's trying to think outside the box, outside of his comfort zone. And look at, he's doing affectionate, empathetic, emotional things that maybe we don't expect from him outside of the Roci crew. You know what I mean? So I think that's really an interesting thing to look for.
I think I like that John Hagee points out that he thinks Clarissa gets the book thrown at her so hard because it's blanket punishment against the whole family.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. In the last kind of shots we get of this Amos and Clarissa scene, I'm reminded that Amos no longer has a jacket and that Clarissa is not dressed appropriately, because immediately Amos grabs her like a flag to use as a shawl. And we really it's cold. We saw that it is winter time. So I think kind of the first thing on their agenda is going to be getting supplies. warming up.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be I think we'll get another episode where they're traveling, and in these kind of situations, we don't know how much of Earth is destroyed. We know that 3 rocks is probably like maybe 1 billion people have died or something like that. I don't know. It's going to be a large number, right? And in these kind of situations, and Amos said it like, hey, like, everybody for themselves. Rules don't apply anymore. And that's what he told the guard. He's like, hey, listen, situation completely changed. I don't care what the hierarchy was. We need to get out of here. And the same applies out in the wild. Like, people are going to be looking for food and water and shelter and all of those. Then that's going to be really interesting. And like we said, at least she has Amos in that kind of situation. But maybe we can get like a kind of traveling episode between Clarissa and Amos, and kind of them maybe even going to help people or going to kind of figure out more, because they need to figure out what the hell is going on. And I think Amos is going to contact either Avasarala first or probably Holden, right? So
Okay.
one of those 2 people I think he calls next.
We've got a question from
Yeah.
Dave Doge. What happened to the crime boss's arm? Oh, someone answered in the chat, but I'll still say it because it's relevant. What happened to the crime boss's arm, Eric, when Amos went to visit him? Was he born like that, or did he lose it in a criminal accident? And Sentient Dildo is the one who chimed in, who said that he got beat up when they were kids.
And
So, anyway. In the show, it's probably different because it is a different sort of injury. I believe in the show, it would be something he was born with, because that's the case for the actor.
the actor who plays Eric is in in our Expanse Facebook group, which is really cool. And he's like a super big fan of the show. So cool subject being brought up in chat. Shall we move on? Any other thoughts on the Amos POV? Like, really powerful, emotional stuff from him this season. Like, wow, Wes is just absolutely crushing it as Amos. I'm just loving every scene he's in. I feel like he steals every scene. And also, he's also handsome, chat. Yes. Okay, let's continue. So we got Amos, and next we got Holden. Whoo, what an interesting situation he's in.
Yeah. Is this kind of what you were expecting out of where Holden's plotline was going to go this episode? I know you were concerned about the Roci.
I thought he was going to take off, like this episode, take off with the Roci, get out there like right away. You know what I mean? I predicted in our last review / breakdown, I was saying that he's going to find out that Naomi's captured, and that came to fruition at the end of the episode. And I felt like, I didn't say that Naomi was going to be the one to contact him, but that was kind of a cool, her manipulating one of her friends to get a piece of gear and warn Holden that their ship is rigged, that there's more people out there that are sabotaging. There's more moles out there than they think. And Marco's organization spreads far and wide.
Mm-hmm. But starting it all off, we see the scene of Holden, which is a gorgeous shot, by the way, with like the background moving behind him. But I think it's a really just good scene of Stephen Straits, where we see how resigned and sad and alone Holden is. He's just reeling off shitty thing after shitty thing while trying to get a hold of Naomi. And I mean, things suck pretty hard for everyone else, but he's just left wondering about it all. So it's not a great position that he's in. Very, very alone.
Yeah, it was, Holden is very open emotionally, especially with Naomi, and he's moving in the call and the shot, and he's calling her. He's like, I need you. I love you. Like, you're like the most important thing to me in my universe. And he's really expressing, he's like, and I think he knows deep down that something is wrong because he hasn't heard from her. You know what I mean? Like, Holden, the one thing that is always center with Holden is that he's got great intuition, especially now that he's evolved as a leader. You know what I mean? He's kind of had enough. He's been in enough battles. He's been around the block enough to know that, that things aren't always as they seem. And it was really interesting to kind of see the kind of solemnness of the start of the episode and Holden being alone, because he's usually surrounded by his crew, and he's kind of, I'm not to say he's not surrounded by friends, because I think he has allies, but Bull isn't someone that he connects with on like a personal level, like a really close friendship.
That's one person,
Yeah.
too, that we have seen,
And
So
he's still grieving about someone he's just started to make a connection with in Fred. So that's something that, and I think Holden too, worrying he hasn't heard from his mom, his family, someone that's very important to him who he shares a close relationship with. And he's worried about that too.
He reels it all off. We get kind of an interesting detail here. Bull mentions he's a pilot, and obviously we know that Alex is not going to be in season 6. And so a lot of people have been wondering if Bull could be the pilot in season 6, but I really don't think they could have been setting this up back like in episode 5 when they didn't even know about this. I feel like it's something we would see dealt with. It's like season 6, episode 1. I don't know if anyone has any thoughts in the chat, but I don't think Bull will be the new pilot, but it is striking.
I found that to be kind of like it felt like obvious foreshadowing, like it was really forward the way they presented. It was like just there, like something that we noticed because as hardcore fans of Shay of the Expanse, it's like something that we know about, you know what I mean? And they're pretty good. Like, there's moments of foreshadowing where it's like, okay, like, you know what I mean? It doesn't always end up where you think it's going to end up, but this felt like, I don't know, it felt like it was placed there for a reason. Like they're trying to tell us like, hey, this is going to be the new pilot, but I don't necessarily think that. I don't know if Alex is going to teach Bobbie how to fly or anything like that before the end of the season. I felt like she could be a good candidate for that. But we were talking a little bit about the Alex stuff before the episode because we're so intrigued by that. But I don't know. It's interesting because this actor is a pretty popular, like he's a good actor. He's been in a lot of different stuff. So he is someone that maybe could have an expanded role in season 6.
Yeah, for me, I feel like he's going to die this season. I don't think he's going to be in season 6. And maybe they were able to do like a reshoot of something and that's how they made it work, but they just didn't know about this change at this point. So but it's been talked about on Reddit a lot. So I think also I'm a little biased because I don't like Bull very much at all.
I've heard
some people, he's divisive. Some people love Bull and some people don't like him at all. I don't really think we need another Earther on the Roci either. We won't have any Martians technically then.
It's going to be an interesting thing to see over the next 5 episodes how that dynamic goes because Holden... if that's going to be the pilot of the Roci, they need to be a damn good pilot, okay? Because they've gotten out of shit ton of situations where they could have been smoked if it was.
Notably, Alex started off as he wasn't some amazing pilot. He kind of learned as he went. He kind of his talent came out, but I think he called himself, he was, kind of just a bus driver, kind of like Bull was, but he was familiar with Martian ships because that's what he would have, been working on. So Alex is a better pilot though than Bull will ever be.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing though, because I feel like they just put that front and center. It felt kind of awkward in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, Bull here, he's just kind of still instigating things like the
and
belts
there's a
are
change from the books for Bull, right? Like,
yeah,
and how all this goes down without spoilers, but
yeah, he was in a previous book. He isn't in this book. It's all very different. So, not really.
But we're cool with changes.
Yeah. But yeah, so his book self isn't terribly relevant in talking about him,
But let's talk a little bit about the situation at the end too, Ashaya, the kind of dynamics. We know that Holden's feeling loss, and we see kind of everybody grieving and mourning in their own different way about the situation. We're going to talk about Naomi after because I think she nailed her specific feeling the best out of all the POVs maybe on it. But it was really interesting because they were caught completely blindsided. Without Naomi calling them, they're all dead. Like they were completely fooled.
Yeah, for sure. Even Sakai almost said something to them, actually. You can tell she almost saves Holden, and I think herself, I think it would have killed her too, it exploding there, because it was in dock, I believe. So there is that, but I think this was a really good scene that we get with Sakai, where, I mean, one, that actress was very good, very ominous words and delivery, and very
you love to hate. Like, she's doing her role so well. She's getting under your skin. All those small little facial expressions, that little smile. I put it in the thumbnail, actually. That little smile that she cracked. It just, once I saw that frame, I was like, "Yep, that's the one. That's the one that got the reaction." Where I was like, what you did sucks. You know what I mean? So that's, she's doing a really good job, and it's going to be interesting to see if we have a little redemption arc for her, if she gets us some information, some maybe in some sort of way helps. I don't know if she'll start to feel guilt about everything that died, because certainly it doesn't look like she feels that way right now, because she kind of mocks them. I'll see you later, as in, like, hey, like, you know, I'm not going to see you later. It's kind of how I felt that was going.
Yeah. She still does, like I said, she still does have that moment of guilt or self-preservation, we can't really say there, where she considers saving them. There is that. And Sakai just generally does have really good points. Like, she's arguing it really, really cruelly. They're doing awful things, but she is right that a good life, just taking what Earthers give her, isn't good enough. It just isn't.
And like we said earlier, with all of the different dynamics and the different opinions and the different emotions that we saw within the Belter situation in Drummer's group, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with her. And that's a really interesting perspective to have. Like, you don't always want the perspective of the good guy side. You want to understand why this specific character is feeling the way they are. And listen, I am totally Team Roci, okay? And I'm an Earth. All right. But like, come on now. Oppression is not good, politically speaking, and just in life in general. You don't want to, you just don't want to do that. But it's going to be interesting to see how it goes down, because it feels like there needs to be, like, I mean, they got retribution, but it doesn't feel like they're going to stop until they create even more devastation. Like, they got the protomolecule, which would be worse than a nuke, right? If the protomolecule got launched into Earth in some sort of device, it would just destroy all of Earth. The protomolecule would completely take over Earth.
Yes. Sorry, I got another kitty getting in my...
Ashaya's had to adjust her stream midstream. Oh, we got Jakin.
Jakin. Now he's going away now that I made him go on camera.
The big boy, you've embarrassed him with love.
Yeah.
Like a true mom. So yeah, the Holden situation is interesting. Like, we know, like, Holden is the main protagonist, I guess. There's not really a main per se a main protagonist, but he's kind of the leader, and it's always interesting to see kind of how he's feeling about things. And they narrowly missed out on dying again. This one was extra close, seconds away.
Yes, seconds away. Naomi, it's very lucky that people just kind of keep hinting at what is happening to her. She would not have figured that out, but we'll get to that, I suppose. We'll start from the top with Naomi. And just from, like, the first shots we get of her, it's great acting from Dominique Tipper. She's just really visibly heartbroken and depressed, just like that haunted look in her eyes as she's walking and they, like, push her into the mess hall,
You could feel that sadness. She felt true despair. She evoked that when she said, "Do you know what you guys just did? Even though that you think it's not that bad, but a week from now, a month from now, you guys might really start to think what I'm thinking," is what she was trying to say. And you can see the weight of that, all those lives that were lost. She's feeling that weight.
Yeah, the river of blood, as she calls it.
And for her, and obviously, I think the layer on top of that, Shea, is the fact that her son participated in that, and that's not what she wanted for him, despite her not, being the best mother, being there for Philip. You know what I mean? She, like, that hurts her even more so. The fact that he was a huge component in this being successful.
Yeah, he was. And we kind of see in this scene where Marco makes her go to the mess hall, he's trying to make her feel like the bad parent instead of him. He's like, oh, get to know your son a little. Like, that's like, you shouldn't have given your ship away to your son. Your boy has a mind of his own. I don't know. He's just showing that that Philip is on his side and that Naomi lost him, I guess.
Yeah. And that was a powerful dig. It was like sticking a knife in your rib. You know what I mean? It was like twisting it. It was like, holy, it's like, you know, you have a wound and you're trying to heal it and you poke it and you poke it. And it's like, oh my God, now the wound is infected. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like, it's just so bad. And, you know, Dominique, you know, we do MVPs for the episode. It's hard to take it away from Amos for me, because all of his scenes have been so fantastic, but just the way the way that she delivered how she felt about everything. She went through like so many different emotions, anger, frustration, like just the pure chaos that she was feeling in the situation, the desperation of her trying to get to Holden. Like all of those emotions felt like super high stress level emotions, Ashaya, that could like just like burn you out. You know what I mean? And geez, like I wonder how she felt after doing all these scenes in this episode. Like, yeah, she must have been tired.
Yeah, it must have been very, very draining. Very much so. We get a scene, though, with Marco and Philip alone, too, kind of like right after this mess hall scene, right? Naomi leaves, and we follow Marco and Philip. Mm-hmm. And I just want to cite this quote from Marco where he says, you have every right to be angry with your mother, to be sad about what she did to you, what she did to all of us. Feel whatever you feel, but you can't let those feelings rule you. And he's right. Like, he's completely right, but like the way that he's saying it, Philip knows that he's directing it in a different way, and it's so damn manipulative, and it's just so messed up to see Philip being raised by this man.
He's directing it in a way where he wants to punish Naomi, but also not lose control over Philip, and that's like the worst kind of manipulation, because that like he's still trying to continue his grasp and power over his son in the most disgusting way, essentially.
And this is where we get our first hint. It's the viewer's hint, though, about Holden and about why Naomi was taken, because Marco asks what Philip hoped to achieve and if he was saving her. And so the viewer might have been like, saving her from what? And then things continue.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I can't, like, you know, we're only on episode 5 and the stakes are so friggin' high and the season has been so good. I'm trying to imagine where it goes from here. And I'm like, that's partially why I've decided to not read the book for this season, because I want to be true. I've been so truly, genuinely surprised, which is so hard for TV, Shaya, to have a good, genuine surprise. I'm just like, oh, and I'm just like that's why 24 hours from today, that's 23 hours from today. I wish I had it now so I could watch it a couple times. But that's why I'm so hyped, because it's like, I can't wait for the next episode. I genuinely don't know. Like, I have some idea of some things that might happen, but I can't truly possess what I think is truly going to happen.
Did you think Naomi would kill Marco?
No, definitely not.
I know.
It's like her attempt. She's like, and then Marco.
It was really funny to me.
Yeah, I thought it was funny too, actually. And then Philip is like, I saved you. He's like, listen, I just like, did you feel in that moment that he was intimating that he was like, I knew that you were trying to kill our dad? Was that how you felt about him?
I felt when he said I saved you, he was referring to what Naomi figured out.
But it's kind of ironic, though, because in that situation, that's why I felt it was kind of funny, because the way it was said, like, I felt like some people could have interpreted it that way, even though I was like, yeah, okay, like, he's just talking about like saving her from the ship or whatever. But but he was like saving her from like killing Marco and getting killed.
She almost stabbed him in the stomach. her own son actually in that like little awkward moment. But Naomi was so suspicious that look in her eye, she just like sidles up very, very, very slowly.
Marco is a supreme asshole, says Sentient Dildo. I agree.
Yep.
I think he's only going to get worse because as far as people with egos like his and ambition, it's like he just did something so great. How does he top his greatest hit? You know what I mean? How does he continue to, because like he's a super charismatic person, right? And how does he continue to have the power he does if he fails? Because you kind of mentioned this in the last episode, which I thought was a great point. Yeah, he was like, yeah, like one rock could have hit and it would have been as the best success ever. And you're like, yeah, but dude, like you missed like 14 fucking rocks, dude. Like not the actual amount, but you know what I mean? Like supreme exaggeration and projection. You know what I mean? Like they could have completely destroyed Earth, but they failed.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where you have enough eggs in enough baskets that it doesn't matter if 7 baskets are destroyed because you still have 3 eggs, that sort of thing. So yeah, that is Marco in a nutshell.
You want to talk about Sin because he's an interesting character. I like him, but at the same time, I hate him.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he is really likable. He's very, this uncle character for both Naomi and Philip. In the after show, Ty actually said he thought he was kind of a maternal figure for Philip, which is an interesting point. I kind of agree with that.
And Naomi's super mad about him not doing the proper job. Like, hey, like I trusted, like I thought that was kind of a shitty thing to say from Naomi, but at the same time, like she kind of has a point. Like could you not like have like been like, because Sin knows what's right and wrong. You know what I mean? Like some of the others may be completely brainwashed, but deep down inside, like this kind of character, like I feel like knows that what they did is wrong.
Yeah, because one example that we see early on is when Philip has to let his friend Andrew die, right? And Sin, you can just tell he feels badly about it, and he feels like more than anything, he feels like Philip should feel guilt and should need comforting, and Philip doesn't. Meanwhile, in this episode, we have Marco who praises Philip for making this decision. In fact, like he says it was a good decision. So yeah, Sin has some sense of decency,
but also he had a really powerful moment to share when he said we had to do this. Like this, like we had no choice. Like no one was noticing us or listening to us. Like what else were we supposed to do? And that was really fucking sad to hear that. Like, damn, like that, like this, that's what it came down to. Like, just damn, committing genocide.
Yeah, and he appeals to Naomi with that by bringing up Illis that, most of them, a large portion won't be able to live on these planets. They're in this awful position, and Naomi wanted to be on that planet, and her body couldn't support it. Yeah. So she can really understand that, but it still does not justify, killing 1 billion people.
Yeah, that felt like a super dig too. Talking about that, like how weak she is, you know what I mean? There was a lot of really powerful getting to the core, like no bullshit, like this is how it is type of statements in this episode.
Yeah, kind of an aside, I guess, real quick. I want to stay on Sin, but about the news feeds, we see 2 examples of members of the Pella watching the news feeds and seeing information about the crew of the Rocinante. Because Sin was watching and learned about Naomi, okay? And Caral was familiar with James Holden and for drinking coffee and all that. So I kind of am thinking about Philip. He would have seen her on the news feeds too, which is an interesting thought to me. I wanted to point it out.
It's also good detective work on Naomi's part for noticing her surroundings and kind of checking things out, and her in that split second getting out to Holden, noticing that they were a target. The Roci was a target, right? Like, who are Marco's main threats, right? And she was like, okay, Roci, you know what I mean? So for her to notice her surroundings like that, and just execute that in that situation with such a limited amount of time. Naomi, MVP. I mean, for saving the Roci, I think.
Yeah,
and
for
Holden.
sure. And all the great acting.
Yeah.
There is one really good point I think that Sin makes. Well, two really good points that Sin makes in addition to what we brought up, which is Naomi kind of just goes into this thinking she knows Philip. And he points out, you don't decide his reasons for him. You don't know him. Like, you just don't know why he did this. And it wasn't the reason that she, said it was to prove his loyalty, wasn't it? And the other thing that I thought was, very profound was how changes add up, that you don't see them day to day. And then just suddenly they're different. And that's something a lot of parents and people have talked about in the past, like how weird that is.
Yeah, the accumulation of events in someone's life that leads to a flip being switched.
Yeah.
A switch being flipped. Wow. Yeah. 2020, Kyle cannot speak English. So yeah, really, I was kind of least looking forward to this specific stuff this episode because I feel like it's going to have a bigger payoff at the end of the season, right? Like they're building up the kind of inner workings of it. Something big's going to happen. Obviously, something big did happen, but something big's going to happen. Obviously with the Free Navy and Marco having Martian ships, which is a big deal. You know what I mean? And we found out more about that in the next POV show with Alex and Bobbie.
Yeah, it was still just a very, very small look at the Parliament attack. We see a little bit on the screen about kind of the damage. I paused it and was like, what happened there exactly? And they explain why they can't talk to Holden, why he just hasn't heard of Alex and Bobbie. Nothing bad has happened to them as of yet. They just can't reach out to anyone because they're radio silence. So...
It's interesting that you say that too. I was kind of looking for Easter eggs, like little Easter eggs, like on screens and stuff, like trying to find like the smallest little detail. Because sometimes the creators and TV show directors will troll you like that. They'll put something in there and then they'll be like, I told you in episode 5, but you didn't look hard enough. So anyways, just as a watcher of good TV. Yeah, this was super interesting.
Did you count the big Easter egg in this episode? Did you catch it?
No.
When Naomi is getting into the console there and is about to save Holden, it's one of the little things it says on the bottom is doors and corners.
Oh.
Nice little bit of text there.
This is actually what we were discussing before we hit go live, Ashea. This has been, I've kind of been talking, we've been talking about this maybe privately a little bit more than the other stuff, but it's been really interesting to me because let's just kind of get it out there. We talked about this previously. Alex Kassanvar is not going to be in season 6. So really, really interesting stuff. And only 5 episodes left after this one. And I felt like, we got a big impact again at the end of the episode, a nice cliffhanger with this. But I really liked again the development and relationship with Bobbie and Alex getting some more trust with each other. Bobbie was kind of just like, let's go ham on this. Like, we can't wait. And Alex is like, hey, let's slow down a little bit here. And, they kind of meet in the middle about it. And they're like, and Alex is like compromising. Okay, I guess we can't let this go. And then there's a pretty big discovery that's made that we find out.
Yeah, we see some Belter ships are meeting the Barkeith, and the Barkeith is obviously Sauveterre and Babbage, and there are other Martian ships with them. And as it turns out, those other Martian ships are weapons that are being added to Marco's Free Navy. We knew that they had some Martian tech and Martian ships, and this confirms that they have ships, not just stealth tech, and that it's actively in the works.
It's a big deal.
And notably, you have to wonder if they're getting Martian tech, Martian weapons, what are the Martians getting from the Belters?
I haven't asked myself that situation. I was asking myself like, hey, did they help with the space rocks? Because also Mars got hit with a rock. We can't leave that out of the scenario, and Sovaterra gets discovered on that, he's in big trouble, obviously. But now we know that there's multiple factions fracturing throughout each of our areas here. Mars has now got a rogue faction that are selling weapons and allied with Marco and the Free Navy, and that's a really dangerous proposition because it seems like Belters might be more disorganized, and Mars is always kind of seen as this more organized kind of second Earth, the future of humanity type of situation. And yeah, it's just really interesting to see this situation play out. Like, I feel like it's got to be even worse than what we're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, the corruption is really, really spread throughout the Martian government for someone as high as Sovaterra to be doing this.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. I know you're laughing, but yeah.
Yeah, I am. This is a plotline this is an interesting plotline for me because it's one that I can't say anything about really because it would be spoilery, but also even if I did say anything, it's very likely that it wouldn't even be spoilery because we don't know how they're going to handle this. It's with season 5 and season 6. Yeah. We just really don't know. I won't really be able to tell until the end of the season where they're going with it. So I can't ever talk too much about the Martians as much as I like them.
So I love the cliffhanger ending. Love that. I always it was so high tension. They got injected with the juice twice. That's a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Surviving that amount of G's. We had the similar situation with Avasarala and Bobbie in a previous season.
Yeah, Bobbie's old hat at it by now, I suppose. It almost looked like she was like there was some CGI, I think, on Bobbie's face to make her do that. Like, it really her skin just went back there. It was kind of cool looking. But we also got that weird movement that Alex was doing trying to lose them. It was like they're in this weird.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're in this roller coaster thing, and we're rolling around with them. Yeah, I love the Razorback. I think they do some really cool spaceship kind of work with it.
That kind of gave me agoraphobia a little bit because of the thought of the size of outer space. I was like, whoa, for a second there because I watched it. I'm like, I wasn't kind of prepared for that. I'm more used to looking inside of the spaceship, which is more comfortable for me. But I thought it was really cool because now they're in a situation where they're just spiraling in outer space. Now they're out of the blast zone because they had to basically go towards the missiles and launch their core at it. But now they're kind of shit out of luck because the Razorback is not going to be working properly, and they got to get in contact with someone after. They might be in trouble, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and we have to. They aren't positive that they're off of the scopes, off of the radar, even if that missile, is not attacking them anymore, they could still be attacked again, which I wouldn't have thought about. But the after show, Ty Frank brings up that we don't know that.
Yeah.
Here's where we almost get our Avasarala appearance. Were you excited? Were you like, yeah?
I don't know. I thought it would. I think I think it's cool to leave certain POV. Like, we're gonna get Avasarala in the next episode, 100%, right?
I'm not gonna see her again until episode 10. Your face. You would be very upset.
My name is Kyle Sarala, Shea. Actually, it's funny because I got to meet Shorei at Dragon Con previously. And she's really nice, and she happened to I happened to call her queen, and she likes that, and we share a connection. So
yeah, everyone calls her Queen of Earth. Were you surprised, by the way, that this was where they ended the episode? I really thought the whole time was I anticipated the last shot of the episode was going to be Amos and Peaches getting out of there and them pulling out from the destruction. I felt 100% sure.
Rocketing into space from the pier. Type of
I mean,
deal.
that would be cool too, but in general, I thought them escaping would for sure be the end. So big surprise when it just kept going.
I wonder how much it is interesting that you say because everybody's in such a different like they're all so spread out. You know what I mean? All of our characters are so spread out, so it's gonna be really interesting to see like how long like are Amos and Clarissa going to be on Earth all season? Like maybe they don't leave Ashea. I don't know. I'm assuming that the Roci crew will get closer and closer to each other as things start to get more connected. The Sauveterre connected to the Marco, the Naomi being captured by Marco, Holden almost getting blowed up by Marco, Amos being almost killed in the prison underground by Marco's rock. You know, everybody's been affected by this event. It's just they're all in different places. So I do expect the contraction to begin next episode, I suspect.
I mean, we're seeing it potentially with Drummer, if Drummer's meeting Marco, but I mean, for all we know, Marco's going to go meet them on like a neutral ship, you know, or something like that.
Safe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that way she doesn't have to come on the Pella. Naomi isn't, no one knows Naomi's on the Pella. All that.
And we also got to remember the no-fly zone. That kind of complicates the situation to Shea. Obviously, communications aren't what they are. Like people can't get in contact with certain parts of Earth or Mars, and you know,
I mean, you're talking about Amos is maybe just gonna call Avasarala up. Well, he might not be able to do that. He doesn't even have. He has to go get a terminal for one. He doesn't have one.
But the one thing is interesting. I was gonna say, like, you know, previously, like the whole Mars and Earth tension, we didn't know exactly 100% what was going on. They were kind of accusing. There's this accusatory tone towards each other. Now we know that Marco is the perpetrator of this attack. Now there can be more of a kind of concerted effort into organizing some sort of, you know, communication between Mars and Earth, or Mars and Tycho, Mars and the Bell. And I do think we're going to start to get some communication to the next episode, because Ashea with the Expanse, it always gets more intense as the season goes, because by the time episode 10 comes around, I'm going to be like, this in my seat, 10 G's. I'm going to be like, whoa, I'm going to be so surprised and excited.
You're going to have a nosebleed.
Yeah, I'll start bleeding by the nose because I'm so hyped at the shit that's going on in the show. But yeah, I thought it was a really good app. Like every episode has been super solid. I thought the last episode was the most solid one of the season. This one was super cool too, because the ending was like I said, I was really shocked by that too, Ashea. I really liked the cliffhanger ending, and that was like really exciting for me, because I'm like so looking forward to the next episode, like getting an answer. Like we might not have a Cass, I can say Cass, Alex and Bobbie POV this episode. They might leave us in the dark and like really like play it up until episode 7. We might not see them, and that, like, you know, because we get the like skipping a POV, you know, like a drummer or an Avasarala. So it's going to be really interesting to see which POVs will be in the next episode.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned your MVP was probably Naomi, maybe Amos, top ones. I think I agree. Naomi, and then maybe Konachek for me. He was just super underrated, and he was incredibly important. He was right. He was like, you know, between us, there's you guys got 2 guns and one of me. And he was right. He saved Amos for sure. So yeah, I liked him and Naomi.
I think I said Amos just because of his personal growth as a character. You know what I mean? Like, did
you really see that in this episode, you thought?
I mean, just, I don't know. Like, I mean, I know he cares for his friends. You know what I mean? But he was just like, he was so decisive about everything. He felt as good of a leader as Holden did. Like, he was like, he was basically right in this situation. Like, he was the one who found the solution 4 to 5 times. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I was just like, damn, like, you know, yeah, a little bit of plot armor, I guess, in that respect. But I don't know. I think Naomi was, I think Dominique, who plays Naomi, was the MVP of this episode, just like acting wise, like just the way, like all the different emotions she had to experience, like her fake playfulness with Sin, you know what I mean? Like really trying to feel like their relationship was renewed when she's really hurting, like being away from Holden, experiencing this grief that her son just committed genocide, that she's on Marco's ship. So I think that was the most powerful MVPs. And chat, MVPs, let us know what your MVPs are. Really curious to see everyone's MVPs. Like I said, I think Naomi and Amos probably in second for me. And you agree, Ashea?
Yeah. Not for Amos personally, but yes, Naomi and Konachek for me. And I think my favorite scene was just the drummer faction scene. I already really love them, but
She's your personal favorite. Is she not drummer? Your personal favorite character?
I don't think she's closer to my personal favorite character now. My personal favorite character is Elvie Okoye, because I like any character who's curious, who is like a scientist, who gets at asking real questions. We learn stuff about the world. So I really like her for that reason, and I think she's like a decent person. She's a good person in a world. I wonder if we'll
see her in the next episode, because the proto-molecule is taken. Maybe like, because Holden is definitely going to be in the next episode, I think. He's just the main protagonist, I think. But I mean, maybe he contacts her like, hey, like, oh, you know, it would be really interesting. Could Marco kidnap her? As like, is that someone he could seek out? Because she knows a hell of a lot of the proto-molecule, and that's another Holden friend. I don't know why that just popped into my head.
She is an expert on it for sure. At the beginning of the season, we do see, hear her voice. Remember, as Holden explains some things to Fred, it's a transmission he gets from Elvie. She's still studying things. She's been studying the aberration and the anomaly or whatever. So I think we would know if she had been cast to be in this season, but I have high hopes that maybe she will be back next season. I would like it when they bring a little bit more characters back. I've been hoping we'd see just like a scene of Prax talking to Amos, to be honest.
That'd be
I've been sad that we haven't seen that in terms of talking about old characters.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ever moments. I'm that guy through any season, their friendship.
What's your favorite quote? You have one from this episode?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the Konachek stuff. I mean, just like the funny Konachek stuff. I think those would probably really stick out for me. And Marco had some really good lines too, like his what he was saying to Philip. That was really powerful. I don't know if that's a favorite quote because it was bad and manipulative.
Yeah,
that really stuck out to me. You know what I mean? But yeah, all the Konachek stuff was absolutely hilarious. It was really nice because, like, I mean, an asteroid just hit Earth. You know what I mean? Three asteroids, and to have some comedy mixed in with the sense of dread, the feeling of them being in hell, the red lighting, the being 10 stories down. And I see a lot of people in chat were mentioning that too.
Yeah, I think my other one is probably a kind of humorous line too, in addition to the Konachek quotes, was that Corral line. And she's like, James Holden, famous for drinking coffee and saving the system with his crew of Earthers, Martians, and Belters in the mighty Rocinante.
Yeah, very sarcastic.
Yeah, it was very funny to me, and I liked that line a lot because I was actually thinking that as Naomi stood there, I saw looking at the coffee machine. I was like, "Oh, she's thinking about Holden." It took me a little second, and then it cuts to Corral, who just instantly knows.
Yeah, that's kind of ironic, and setting up a little foreshadowing that Holden will save the day again. So I kind of, even though it seems like a humorous thing, you know what I mean? It's a nice shout out to our man James, who is was in a precarious situation. I'm really looking. I like all of the POVs. The Mars stuff is going to be really interesting. I feel like they might skip that. They probably won't, because that would be kind of interesting to kind of just leave that out for a whole episode with us really wanting to know if they survived the blast or not. Yeah, I think we expect them to, because we need to know how they would get out of a situation where the Razorback isn't working properly and they're still being tracked. But I'm really interested. I'm really interested to see where Holden goes from here. And I would say the things I'm looking most forward to next episode are what's Holden going to do, and the neutral site, everything that's going to go down with Drummer and Marco, because I don't trust some of those belters around Drummer. I think that's going to be like high tension. When I watch that scene, I'm going to expect something to go wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. That's kind of what I'm most eager to see as well as Amos and Clarissa, trying to find provisions. I'm very eager to see that going forward. Not a lot. I think I mentioned a tiny bit from the after show today. It was kind of this after show was a lot of them just kind of chatting and having a good time. But they had Josiah on, who plays Philip. And I wanted to point out that before he got cast as the role, when he was auditioning, he went to the wiki and he read up on Philip to get the right mindset. And he started watching the show too, but that was less relevant. So I like that. So he had kind of a sense of the Belter accent and all of that going into it, which helped him get the role.
Also previewing, teasing his arc for the rest of the season seems like something interesting is going to be. A lot of interesting things are going to be happening with Philip.
Mm-hmm. He pointed out that he did a lot of research into child soldier psychology, which Ty said they did too in the writer's room. So they were kind of on the same page there, despite Ty and them not actually telling Josiah to look into that. He knew that that's what he's going through.
Kind of the PTSD of it, the kind of shaping
being
nature versus nurture type of deal.
Yeah, the brainwashing, indoctrination. Yeah, exactly.
And Ty and Frank, we talked about...
Ty and Frank. Ty and Wes.
Ty and Wes. I know, but I mean creators of The Expanse. But Ty Frank, I said, yeah, my brain isn't working today, is it?
Kyle was a little sick this weekend, by the way. That is why we delayed our recording. I'm gonna blame it on your cold.
I'm still feeling a little congested. Like my nose is. It's like I always want to sneeze right now, and it's like super annoying. So I'm trying to hold it in. I'm like looking like a complete asshole. That was really exaggerated.
Good thing we're almost done then. we have, I guess, some of those neat details to point out.
Go watch the after show like Ashea. Why can I not speak today? My God. I didn't even take any medicine for this cold. But go watch the after show, Amazon Prime. Ashea, you're taking over.
Okay. But yes, you should check out both after shows on YouTube, Amazon Prime, Ty and That Guy, and on Amazon X-Ray, which is my segue to, again, wax poetic about Amazon X-Ray. They had really cool concept art this week about Konachek's implants that I really liked looking at. So check that out if you are interested in seeing a little bit more of that. And another thing that probably all of you have noticed is that our intro sequence keeps changing in week to week, not just season to season, with the rocks hitting. And I really, really want to see like a side by side with every single one, except there are so many different ones.
This one had the cool like undershot almost of the ring. That was my favorite part of the new opening this time. That was really cool. It was kind of like it was just like a really neat angle. It felt like you were kind of under the ring. I don't know. That's something that I noticed too. The new opening.
Do you look closely, Kyle, at the things written or anything? Like how they have like little text, like when the Razorback was on. Okay, just curious. Okay.
I like the X-ray. Like I'll check out the X-ray, like the actors that are in the scene and stuff like that, and then I'll go like IMDb just to see what they're in and stuff like that, just to see like what kind of work they have done and say like just like kind of as like a sleuth to see if they might have a bigger role in the season. Like like if they've been in bigger projects, that doesn't necessarily mean they might have a bigger role per se in the Expanse or something like that. But it always interests me when we get new characters and like they might have like staying power and stuff like that.
The title. Down and Out. I think that is generally pretty obvious because obviously Amos and Peaches, they're down and they're getting out. But it actually made me think of Naomi too, because she's down as in depressed and she wants to get out. And Corral even tells her there's only one way you're getting out of here, and implying dead. That's the only way you'll ever leave. So anyways, it's the only two people I think it really applies to. I don't know.
Yeah, no, she felt like she was the most down and out. I felt like Amos was 100% going to get out of the situation. He was down 10 floors, not necessarily down and out. What's the title of the next episode, Ashea?
Oh, what is the title of the next episode? I want to look at it. If you don't want to know what the title of the next episode is, this is your warning to just X out right now because we're essentially done.
Get your
earmuffs. The next one is Tribes.
We're definitely getting that it does feel very tribal this season in the way the different factions, everybody vying for sovereignty. And that's really interesting. Perhaps a focus on the tribes. That there's always a common thread through each of the POVs. Tribes. That feels very interesting. Tribe of Earthers. What's Avasarala going to do when she pops back in the episode? Drummer, obviously meeting with Marco again. Maybe we don't see Amos for an episode because he's traveling Earth or something like that. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see kind of what happens.
If they don't show us Amos, I'm going to be so upset. No, I think they do show us Amos because the official account, they shared like a screenshot of him, like a still of him.
I didn't watch the trailer. I've actually not watched any of the trailers.
They don't have next time on trailers that I've seen. I don't think they even have that for you to watch if you wanted to. But the Prime account just shared like on Tuesday, on Wednesday, coming soon, and it was just like a still of Amos. So I was like, okay, I guess he's in it. Otherwise, I would be mad. I'm dying to see more of this destruction on Earth. That's all I want. Like, I know I need to care about Amos and Peaches, but I just want to see destruction.
Wow. Ashaya wants to see the river of blood. Rude.
I do. Shame. I really do.
Shame.
Wow. And I think that's where we'll end it, everyone. It was a super fun stream. Sorry about the lateness of this one. Like I said, I've been fighting I don't know what it is. Hopefully
I
nothing.
guess tell us, though, if you somehow prefer us doing it the day before. Or in general, we're kind of loosey-goosey with this. Yeah, I just like to talk about it and who pops in, whoever pops in. And
like, we're not like super serious in what day it has to be. Like, we just want to, like, it's kind of funny because we went to Dragon Con just kind of like, we tell this story. We went to Dragon Con not expecting to get an interview with Wes and Steven last year. And ever since we got it, we're just like, we need to talk about it. Whether it's in just a fun live stream form, whether it's serious, whatever, we just want to talk about it. And I don't see, like, there's a few creators making reaction videos. I see more reaction videos than I saw last year, which is cool on YouTube. And that's what I like. I like to see more people getting into it and talking about it. And that's really what I love about The Expanse.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you have a weekly release, is that people are able to do that.
Yeah, that's what I want with The Witcher too. We
of course, yeah. You have to
been
deal
talking
with
about
that
a lot. We talk. Me and Aziz are like praying for that. 2020 gods, that's my one wish, please. Witcher Weekly in the summer. I know I'm not going to get it, but I will. Whatever. I'll just take another season of The Witcher in the summer. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Really, really super fun stream. Ashaya, Mirani's not on Twitter.
Yep.
And
that's
also,
exactly right.
And
History of Westeros on YouTube
I'm
and
podcasts.
podcasts.
So I always screw up. I always type in MER and I always forget it's two E's.
It's two E's, then two E's.
In the description of the video, by the way. Great Twitter follow.
My little fun fact about, two things I guess I could say about my Twitter. One is that I created it when I didn't realize that you wanted as short of a username as possible. So I have I have one extra character for my name. So there's that. But two is that I feel so honored that James S.A. Corey, Ty Frank, follows me on Twitter. I'm very lucky. And it's not like he follows like thousands of people. He follows like 400 people. So truly blessed. # blessed over here.
He's really interactive with people.
No, he is. He is actually. I'm like, he's replied to my tweets randomly. And I'm like, oh shit, Ty's looking at my tweets. What have I been tweeting lately?
He chats with a lot. I find he chats with a lot of people at the show. A lot of people have so many stupid quotes, and I just and he's pretty graceful about it. He's just like honest about it. He's like, listen, like, it doesn't have anything to do with what you're talking about. It's like just pretty clear. I just love how honest he is. He's just fucking super cool dude, and he shames Republicans, and that makes me happy. So speaking of that, go Georgia.
I know.
Preparing for that shit, man.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I am so excited to vote tomorrow. I always vote the day of.
I think both of them are going to win.
they've
I
been-
feel
yeah.
really good about it. I think they're both going to win. I feel awesome.
I
about
really
it.
hope so. And I'm worried only one will win. But anyways, most people probably don't care a whole lot about our Georgia election. And I mean, you should, because it determines the fate of our country, of the United States. But anyways, whatever. I'm very on edge. Let me say that the night before the election, I'm like, oh God, please, 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 please.
Ashaya is a good Georgian, okay? Follow her on Twitter. Also, History of Westeros YouTube. Finishing the Valerie Reedus. You can go check that out. Awesome playlists all set up for you on their YouTube page. Easy to find. Great content. And yeah, we shall see you. We don't know a day. We'll discuss after we watch the episode tomorrow night. But who knows? We might hit you with a Thursday sometime soon. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But we'll let you know, everyone. Follow us on Twitter or check us out in the description of the video. I usually post... in the comment section, I'll usually post when we're going live. Or the community tab, easy to follow on my page, Fandom Media Community tab. Click there. I always tweet out or send out when I'm going live the day before usually and stuff like that. And I do polls and stuff like that. So just check it out. Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. Super fun discussion. Have a great night. Good luck, Georgia. And looking forward to more destruction in The Expanse, episode 6. See you guys.